Welcome to the Books, Life, and Shenanigans podcast with your host, Amanda Bird. Hi there, and welcome to this week's, again, non-video episode of the Books, Life, and Shenanigans podcast. I had this great plan for today, right? Like, I would be done all of my customer calls by 4. I'd maybe do some makeup, kind of get myself ready. Everything kind of spiraled out of control today. My last call of the day was with a customer I haven't spoken to in quite some time. So we spent a little bit of time catching up. And, you know, those are the things that I miss about my job. Like, I miss being able to just kind of catch up on my customers' lives. Granted, you know, we usually only talk about, 4 times a year, but it's nice to know that, you know, they like me enough that they want to share, you know, things going on with me. I think that's awesome. Also, I absolutely did not shower this morning and wash my hair. So it's kind of a mess. And it would have been in a messy bun, but one of my friends has taken to calling it a samurai bun. And I like that term a whole lot better. So it's no longer a messy bun, at least not when I do it for my normal days. Like, when I make it look super cute and super messy, that's a messy bun. These days, nope, it's a samurai bun, at least Monday through Friday. With the exception, obviously, of events and things. And super excited. I have my first event of 2024 to add to my calendar of events for 2024. And then I was talking to a fellow author, Maria DeVivo. Her and I were yapping yesterday about different events that we're going to do next year. And she gave me some info that I didn't have about an event in March. And it's going to be the first of, I believe, 2 for Spookala next year. I don't know where it's going to be, if it's going to be up in Ocala or if it's going to be down here in Tampa. But I do know essentially the same. I'm actually not going to drop that, but October will also be happening. That I'm fairly certain will be at the expo center at the fairgrounds or whatever. Again, like, it's going to be this year. So I'm super excited about that. And then I'm pretty sure they're still doing a pop-up in Ocala in December that I need to sign up for. So I have to kind of harass one of the owners about that. At some point during the event, because I need to kind of know, like, quickly when they're going to do that so that I can jump in and snag a spot super fast, because those spots go super quick. So that'll be my last event of the year in December up in Ocala. So this week's episode is, sorry, that was like a rambling weird thing for like 3 minutes. I apologize. So this week's episode is on I'm calling it an Audiobook Festivus because I have gripes about audiobooks that I listen to, audiobooks that I pay for and listen to. So this is a Festivus for me. On the reader side, it might kind of mutate into an Audiobook Festivus as an author as well, for reasons. I will try to keep that bit as short as possible because, like I said, I would really prefer to kind of come back to like a reader perspective, but also like reader and author perspective, because I'm sort of uniquely qualified to do that, right? I'm an author and I'm a reader. I'd like to say I'm an avid reader, avid audiobook listener, but I know people who are way more avid than me, way more rabid about reading than me. So there's that, but I guess I really am actually an avid reader. I have blown away my Goodreads challenge for the year. And the only reason I didn't up it is because I have a book due to my editor, 13 Reasons for Murder, Harlow. I have a book due to my editor at the beginning of November so that he can have it, well, we'll say early November, so that he can have it back to me by mid-November so that I can release it in December. So yeah, there's that. And then there's the super fun retailer deadline of, hey, if you want it released by this time, you have to have it uploaded by then. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you how bad it is to plan a end of the year release when you don't have the dates that these retailers are trying to tell you, hey, extended processing from here to here to here. Cool. So now I just have to kind of go based off of last year's dates. So now I'm going to go digging through my fucking email to find these fucking dates, right? Okay. Anyway, sorry. Excuse that outburst. And the other bits, there's not going to be any shenanigans this week. I mean, there could be. It's possible there could be. Trying to think of anything like book and or author related that I could probably twist into some kind of shenanigans real quick. And my brain is failing me because my brain malfunctioned early this morning. And well, I gotta tell you, it's still malfunctioning. Like, it was so bad this morning. I was in a meeting with my team at work and my brain just kind of stopped. And I stopped mid-sentence and I was just like, I don't even know. Like, my brain just stopped working. The thought that was there, poof, gone. The words that were coming out of my mouth, poof, gone. And it was worse this morning than it is when if you're having a conversation with me, I'm sure you've heard me stop mid-sentence and be like, okay, what was I just talking about? Or I'm going to go off on another separate topic. And no, that's not at all what happened this morning. It just kind of stopped and I was just like, duh, now what? So there might not be a shenanigans portion to this week's episode. I'm working very hard to try to get my brain and my energy levels back on some kind of track. Now that the divorce is finalized and I'm I don't even want to say mostly, I'm emotionally and mentally better. So there's that. And of course I'm getting better every day. So the life bit is going to be on rumination. When rumination starts, what do you do? When you catch yourself ruminating, because you don't always catch yourself when it starts, what do you do? How do you handle it? So I've got some tips, tricks, and suggestions for that, as well as discussing what rumination is versus obsession. So I guess now that we're 7 minutes in and I'm done kind of ranting about randomness and talking about my day, we will get to the Audiobook Festivus. So I've been listening to a specific, one single series on audiobook. There's only 2 books in the series, so I guess it's more a duology, whatever the fuck people are calling it. It's 2 books. End of story. At least right now. I don't know if there's plans for a 3rd one. I think there is. So it's got the same narrator for both books. And both books take place in New York. I'm sure you can figure out where I'm going from this now. New York has this accent, right? First of all, my New York friends, I love you. My Philadelphia area friends, I love you. Sometimes, most times, and only because I love you can I actually do it, but I cannot listen to either one of those accents without wanting to stab somebody in the eye with, as Christopher Walken put it in Joe Dirt, with a soldering iron. Like, all right, cool. I'm down, because those 2 accents drive me fucking insane. I got another friend with a Boston accent, and he just makes me fucking laugh every time he speaks, just because I think that shit's hilarious. Car keys. What's a car? Like, do you know there's an R in the alphabet? And it's R, car. It's almost a hard R, but accents is where I'm going with this. So these books take place in New York, and this narrator is a really, really, really good narrator. She's not as good as the narrator I'm listening to now, but whatever. She's a good narrator, and she because the book takes place in New York, she's got like the New York accent, but then you hear like a little bit of Jersey slip in and you're like, okay, so where is she actually from? The more she talks, the more you're sitting there trying to figure out, okay, is she playing New York? Is she playing New Jersey? I'm pretty sure she's playing New York. But either way, both of those accents, I'm just like, oh my God, do I have to listen to this? Like, I understand the point of accents, right? So I'm the one I'm currently listening to was written by a British author. And this narrator, there are certain accents in the UK that I will never, ever, 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 ever be able to get enough of. Scottish, Irish, Welsh, Christopher Eccleston, where the hell's he from? Because his accent's amazing. I'm actually looking this up right now. No, Google, not Christopher Columbus. Or who the fuck is Christopher J. Hope? Yeah, okay. So we're looking up Christopher Eccleston. That's where we're going. So he is from Salford. I don't know where the hell that is. Oh, he's just outside of Manchester. Okay. So his accent is amazing. Also, according to Google, it is an 11-hour and 13-minute flight. That's fun. Not where I was going with that, but there's, as I was saying, there are certain accents over in the UK that I just can't get enough of. And this woman actually sounds like she's got a very similar accent to Christopher Eccleston. I have a friend who's Welsh. His accent is awesome. And it's funny because like the first couple times I was talking to him, it took me a little bit, like, because we met gaming online. So the first couple times we played, I would talk to him just to try to pick up on his accent. And then finally I turned around and I said, "You're Welsh, aren't you?" He said, "You're the first fucking American to ever get that." I was like, "Please tell me that's a joke." It was a joke, but I'm one of like 5 who understood from the gate that the Welsh accent is not the same as an English accent. And also that Wales is its own state, country. I believe it's a country. Is it a country? Well, come here, Google. Wales is a country. Okay. But yeah, like, so every time I talk to a Welsh person, I'm just like, fuck yes. Australian accent, that's always a fun one too. New Zealand. Kind of anything that's not American, I actually enjoy. But if it is American, there are certain states that I'm just like, shut up. I can't listen to you speak. And it's not even the whole state. It's only like certain weird ass areas of states, right? Like Philadelphia, Bucks County, like, oh my God, it hurts. It hurts. And some people, some of my friends, their accents are worse than others. And I'm like, all of y'all grew up over here where like it's not even inside city limits. Explain to me why your accent is worse than this one's. Like, Wooder, y'all, it is W-A-T, T like titty, E-R. It hurts. It hurts. Like, I grew up saying water ice and I'm like, I mean, I stopped saying water when I was like 12. It became water. It became a real, a real word. You know what I mean? So yeah. And then pronunciations is another Festivus topic for me, because this narrator that I'm talking about with these 2 books that took place in New York. She's speaking about a car, and the manufacturer, the brand of the car is Mazda. I don't know where she learned how to pronounce this word, but every time she said it, I wanted to strangle her through my phone, knowing it's a fucking digital recording. She said Mazda. And I started to count because I was so fucking annoyed that I finally stopped, because I was like, I'm only torturing myself. but she had to have said Mazda like 12 times in 3 chapters. And they were really short chapters. And I'm like, did you just write Mazda the whole fucking time, Miss Author Woman? And I'm like, part of me thinks that she did this on purpose because she gets a kick out of the way this narrator pronounces Mazda. I don't know. I don't care, but it's super annoying. Like, I have a tendency to, like, I narrate my own audiobooks. One, because Festivus item, and it's not even a Festivus item. Let me break it down for you. A lot of indie authors don't have audiobooks because of the prohibitive costs for us, right? So a lot of us will never make a living at this. I'm not right now. I would love to. I absolutely would. And I know that 7 books right now is not going to make me a fucking living. So I'm going to keep producing. And maybe at some point in the next year or two, or however long it takes me to get to, say, 20 books or even 13 books, however long it takes me to finish this series. 13 Reasons for Murder. I'm not finishing the series. I haven't even started yet because, fucking life. But so audiobooks are, we pay for those per finished hour, right? That's how narrators charge us. And that averages about $250 per hour. So pulling up my calculator here, $250, and let's just say the book's 8 hours. That's $2,000. Now, that is if you're paying a narrator outright. If you're doing one of those royalty share things, it's a little bit more affordable, but the problem with that is you'll never actually, I can't even say never. My issue with royalty share is there's a couple different models. You have to audition these people. You have to go through everything. And if you're going through ACX, actually, I think Findaway does it too now. I don't really know. But if you're going through ACX Audible, ACX is the company that owns Audible, but whatever. We're going to sidestep that because it's all owned by fucking Amazon. So let's get that clear now. Like with ACX, you have to use a producer and a narrator. Like, that's how that's done. And so you might not have them paid what you think. So say it's like, let's just say you want to use a producer and a narrator. You want to do it on your own. You're looking at maybe $5,000, right? So you take that $5,000 figure and you run that out with, okay, well, I'm doing royalty share, which we all get fucked on royalty share, but that's another. Just because at least Amazon takes away, they ACX, they take their cut. And also with ACX, you as the author do not have control over the pricing. ACX entirely controls that pricing. So I won't go direct through ACX anyway. I go through Findaway for my audio distribution. 1, because it's a bazillion times easier. 2, because just I'm good. I'd rather be bound by someone else's rules that are a lot more flexible, that are a lot clearer than yours, Amazon. It's funny because for all of the negative I spew about Amazon, I do spew some positive too. Like shit, they offered really stellar health insurance and I want that shit back, man. I am not looking forward to a $7,500 max out of pocket, which does factor in my $3,000 deductible. But now I've just had another $290 added to the bullshit that I fucking owe for my deductible. So I'm just like over this right now. If I still had my Amazon health insurance, $3,000 would have been my max out of pocket, I believe. Not even $2,700. And that shit cost me $30 a week. So yeah, back to the weirdness with audiobooks. So ACX has taken their cut, the producer gets theirs, the narrator gets theirs, and then you get yours. And with ACX, you have zero control over that pricing. even though I use Findaway to distribute my audiobooks, I still have no control over my pricing on the Audible platform. Because they exclusively control that pricing. You can't make it a sale. You can't make it free, discounted. You can't do any of that shit because ACX controls it. I'm trying to find. Also, ACX distributes to, this is not what I'm looking for. ACX distributes to Apple. So like as much as I wanted my podcast on Apple, I couldn't because, well, I don't own an Apple device. So as far as I know, this podcast gets automatically pushed over to Apple through Substack. I think, I'm not entirely sure. For Spotify, I do an RSS feed. I'm actually still waiting for, why is that on there twice? That's interesting. So I just recently published Meathead Book 2, the audiobook, and I'm messing around here on Apple. And as fucking usual, Apple's got a double listing for it, and there is no damn reason for Apple to have a double listing. Now I got to figure out which one is the legitimate listing. Yeah, that one's not mine. I don't know who put that one up there. So now audible.com, presented by Audible. Yeah, that's incorrect. So now I have to go through. It sucks every time I release an audiobook, I have to go into Apple specifically and then fight it with, well, not fight it, just make Findaway aware, like, hey, this one needs to be suppressed. This one is the legitimate one. Fun fact, because I'm actually sitting here looking at my audiobooks on Apple, the prices that I set are the ones that I have overridden because Findaway distributes to Apple directly, I believe. Hang on a second. I'm actually going to go into my... Let me go into my publishing here for a second. Or my distribution. So Audible's on here twice, which is really fucking weird. And I don't know which one's which. So that's probably a part of the problem. And I'm just looking at the one for Politeness Kills. I'm not looking at the one for Meathead. It's just crazy because like there's only so much control we have over our own work. It's really almost inflammatory, to be completely honest with you. Like, it's just nuts. I don't understand. So this says Audible, Amazon, and that's why. You can use Findaway to reach Apple Books, even if you also submit to ACX. Right. And there's the problem. ACX duplicates it at their own price. So ACX has my book listed at $9.99. That's not what I charge for it at all on any planet. It won't be. That actually reminds me, I'm fairly certain I need to change the metadata for this book. So yeah, like there's only, okay, never mind. I mean, Apple's got it at the wrong place, at the wrong price too, but whatever. Actually, Apple's got both of them at the wrong price, which is quite interesting. Okay. Well, anyway, I'll deal with that another day. Today ain't that day. I am recording this podcast episode. So, if you enjoy my ramblings and the fun things I open up episodes with, and, you know, all of the fun bits in between the ramblings, and, yeah, if you enjoy any bits of this and you want to share it, please do. Please remember to hit that subscribe button. It doesn't matter where you do it, YouTube, Spotify, or if you subscribe to the Substack. If you subscribe to the Substack, you also get an email notification. You can listen to it in the Substack app, as well as become a paid member for some extra benefits, extra bonuses, like a super cool discount for that, for my online store, my shop, good on swag and books. What else do you get? You get supporter only episodes and content. And then I've also got a coffee link that is also in the description if you want to do just like a one-time kind of thing. Because like, hey, I have this really shitty video recording. Like it's funny because it used to never be this bad. But now it's just kind of bad and it pixelates a lot of shit, even though it's in high def and my camera records in high def. Sorry, Cyberlink, you can, but you kind of suck. So in order for me to get a better camera app, or maybe even an external camera, or maybe even both, I've got that coffee shop site set up. So if you want to do that, and then I've got a nifty little goal on there too, specifically for, God, what did I call it? More equipment and better video recording app / software. Because it would be nice to occasionally record these episodes from my phone on video. I think that would be super nifty. And that I just need equipment for. So yeah. On to the rumination bit. So what is rumination, right? A lot of people can confuse rumination with obsession. Rumination and obsession are, in fact, two not entirely different things. They are for sure linked. So Dr. Romney goes into more detail about this, but basically, obsession is just is often a distorted, distressing thought. Well, it's a distressing thought that is distorted and you cannot stop it, right? And then there's rumination, which is you're kind of consciously thinking about, could you have done something differently? Can you still do something differently? Maybe a way to get control, as a way to get control of the distressing thoughts, right? And then you're stuck in this loop where all you do is think about the bad things. Could you, that thing, could you have done it differently? And then you're going to ruminate on that and you're going to come up with different scenarios. Like, I could have done this. I could have done that. I could have done this. I could have done that. And that's going to take you down a rabbit hole of thoughts. And it's a not good fucking place to be. I promise you. Especially for those of us who are survivors of narcissistic relationships. As she so eloquently puts it, rumination may represent a place that is a synthesis of obsession and compulsion. So let me break that down for you. It's almost a creation of these obsessive thoughts that are thought to be that rumination is kind of considered to be a compulsion in response to that obsessive thought, right? So rumination can certainly feel like an obsession, but it's not. Obsessions, I'm trying to figure out how to. Obsession and compulsion are a little bit differently in the term of psychology when it comes to narcissistic healing. Now, I don't want you to think about OCD and obsessive compulsive disorder, right? Because that's obsession and compulsion, same time. Whereas in this one, for when it comes to rumination, the obsession kind of turns into the rumination. The rumination almost takes over that obsession, that obsessive thought. The rumination becomes even more detrimental, more rabbit hole. You're stuck in it, right? And then there are a lot of other mental health issues that can have a big rumination factor. But rumination is a response to a sense of distress and or despair, right? You're thinking about, you're sitting on your brain won't stop talking to you about what's making you feel bad, and what it's doing to you. And then it's going to make it worse because you're going down that rabbit hole, which is a super painful feedback loop. You're not actively trying to think about these things. Your brain is just doing it because one thought kicked it all off into this giant snowball, and you're so screwed. I'm not trying to give away all of her secrets, so I'm just going to kind of close that out for now that I was looking at. But what I did do was I started looking for different things of rumination that like help people get out of the rumination or to stop ruminating, even if it's just kind of like a momentary thing. I will say this personally, meditation did not work for me. It does not work for me when it comes to rumination. Very frequently, and it almost makes me sick how frequently. I could start to meditate to kind of try to combat that rumination, but that rumination kicks right back in. There is no focusing on shutting it out or, a pretty mental palace or anything like that. Nature scenery, like it's fucking gone. Like it's in my head. I see it. And then the thoughts come right back. So meditation isn't the best idea for me specifically. And I've noticed that in different surveys and things like that, a lot of people say getting up and moving is what helps them out, whether it's exercising, cleaning the house, doing the dishes, just going for a walk around the neighborhood. Some people say, more exerting, more strenuous exercise is what really helps them because they're so focused on that workout that they don't have time, right? Because there's so many strenuous things going, and it's more of a, okay, if I don't do this right, I'm going to hurt myself kind of deal. So that's why a lot of people say that. For me personally, yes, absolutely. If it is light outside, my ass is going outside to feed the ducks. Sometimes I'll take some peanuts right out front my door and put them out for the squirrels. Not that the squirrels set off my cameras, which kind of upsets me. Or at least they didn't yesterday, and today, as far as I know, they haven't eaten the peanuts. So here is a small list of ways that people found to help themselves with rumination. The number one thing I wrote down, or it was just the first thing I wrote down, was make a list of what they said or did to you, right? So this is more specific to those toxic, unhealthy relationships that are abusive. And that is something that I have done. I don't know where my list is to keep adding to it of the different things that pop up, because as the fog finally fucking clears out, because there is such a thing as a narcissism fog. It's bad. It sucks. I have been no contact since March, and here we are closer to the end of the year now, and fuck me, I still have this fog. So writing down that list of, the terrible things they said and did to you, that has helped me so many times. I mean, that also helped me to kind of get out of the trauma bond that I now am pretty sure is entirely broken. It may never fully break. I hope it does, because no thanks. I don't want to be tied to that fucking asshole. Like, could he be a good person? He could, if he'd look in the fucking mirror, if he wouldn't let his insecurities swallow him whole, because you know what? They're going to swallow somebody else whole too. Not just him. Anyone he comes into contact with and decides to open up to and be an insignificant other too. I'm not going to say insignificant, because he's not insignificant. He's because he just fucking sucks. So yeah, writing down that list is super, super helpful. And then other things are watching nature, like I just said, anything that grounds you. That could be, walking around barefoot in the grass, Just be careful with that, please. Because, people these days kind of suck and they will break glass and things like that. So, maybe not go to a public place to do that, huh? Learning something you've always wanted to. I had seen a couple very specific comments about learning to do this and learning to do that, and like knitting and crocheting and playing guitar and things like that. Definitely, that's such a great idea, right? Because it makes you have to focus on learning this thing that you want to learn. So the rumination doesn't really have a chance to have its say. Asking yourself, now that you're out of it, ask yourself, well, no, maybe not now that you're out of it. That's backwards. My bad. Asking yourself why you're allowing them to get to you now that you're out of it. And it's not really you're allowing them to get to you, right? Ask yourself what it is about this that deserves your attention. I promise you, every single answer that yourself is going to come up with is bullshit. Because I did this. I tried this. I would ask myself, okay, what is it about this guy that, still deserves my attention? What is it about the things that he said and did that still deserve my attention? And then my brain would be like, oh, to learn from it. It's fucking bullshit. Yes, to learn from it, to be terrorized by it, to be put into more pain the more I allow the rumination to kind of take me over. And I don't want to feel that anymore. I don't want anybody to feel that. What I want is to feel better and to not look at everyone and everything like, oh God, is that a red flag? Is that a red flag? Is that a red flag? Because let me tell you, as you're coming out of this stuff and you're starting to heal, I promise you this is how it's going to go. You're going to think everyone is a fucking narcissist. You're going to think that almost everything is a red flag because you're going to start second guessing everyone's intentions for you once you realize what it is that you have been through. Ask me how I know. I'm still battling this. There are people that are safe for me that I find myself questioning their motives and intentions, and it fucking sucks. And then I have these conversations with them, and I'm really fortunate in the way of being able to say to them, hey, look, I noticed I'm kind of withdrawing from you. And here's why, right? Certain like this and this kind of put me back into this horrible place that I was in. Excuse me. Luckily, I've only had like one or two friends get upset initially. And then when I finished explaining where I was coming from, they definitely calmed down a lot. And they're like, I didn't. And I'm like, no. Like, it's not you at all. So let's put our heads together and figure out a way to ease this, whether it's for me or for other people who are, whatever. Like, let's figure out, like, how about, I don't know, like a code word or something like SpongeBob, so that, that's me letting you know I'm uncomfortable with this so that we can change topic or course of conversation, whatever needs to happen. So that works out too. But in my case, I'm very lucky, very fortunate to have chosen the friends and family that I have chosen, aside from my father, who I didn't get to choose. And I'm totally okay with that because he's fucking awesome. That I can sit down and have these conversations with them. And because they've known me for so long, I tend to preface conversations with things like, so, hey, this is me speaking here. So I'm probably going to be abrasive and offensive, and I'm not trying to be at all. I'm just trying to figure out a way to get these words out to you so that you understand, like, so that you have a better view of where I'm coming from for something that's bothering me. But seriously, ask yourself that question. What is it? What is it that this person deserves to still be in your thoughts and in your mind and pervading your reality like that when they are no longer physically present? They are no longer in your life at all, right? So what is it? And you're going to have to call yourself out and it sucks. It's hard. And if you're anything like me, you're going to have to fight yourself to tears, maybe even out loud. Because I did that quite a few times. And then I finally understood everything my brain is telling me is part of that flight or fight response. I knew I was going to botch that. I had to stop. Yeah, it's all part of that flight or fight. Fight or flight. That's why I'm botching it. I was saying it backwards. It's all part of that self-preservation. And your brain thinks it's protecting you, and it's not always protecting you. Sometimes it's doing more harm than good. Journaling is another thing that came up super, super commonly. And as I have said, I don't want to count how many times in the past, on these episodes. Stream of consciousness, whether that's audio, which is my preferred method. And it's not because I like hearing my voice. It's just because I talk so fast and it's really hard to keep my thoughts straight when I write so slow. And it's just, for me, it works better. Whether that's audio or handwriting, right? Stream of consciousness, journaling, or audio notes is super great because it lets you get out exactly what you're thinking right then and there in that moment. And that was a huge help for me last year when whatever happened. I'm not even going to sit here and say I kicked him out. Now, if you were talking to him, he'd be like, yeah, she kicked me out. Bitch, you gave me an ultimatum. And when I said, I don't know, you walked clear out the door. That is not me saying get out. It started as me saying get out. And then you were like, is this what you really want? Is this what you really want? Is this what you really want? I don't know. And then you start packing your shit. So honestly, like, that's on both of us. But hey, just like the rest of this story in particular, I am the fucking villain. And you know what? I will wear that crown and rock the shit out of it. I do have an addition I wanted to make to the ask yourself. Oops. Sorry, I headbutted that by accident. I do have an addition I wanted to make to the ask yourself, what is it about this situation or this person that deserves to have any room in my thoughts anymore? Another question to ask yourself in line with that is this thinking helping me heal? Is this rumination helping me heal? Is this helping me move forward better? Move a couple steps forward. And that question right there is the one that's going to fuck you up even more because it's not helping you. It's not teaching you anything. The experience alone has taught you enough. These thoughts are nothing but your brain thinking it's protecting you, and it is not. Another one is, when possible, talk it out, right? So you have those safe friends or those safe family members or even a therapist. When possible, talk it out because you're going to be able to get it out. You're going to have someone to use as a sounding board or someone to just listen and say, I hear you. You're safe with me. Right. And something that simple or something that small, even however you want to look at it, can make a huge impact in your healing process. Distraction. This is another one I saw a whole lot. And it offended me. And here's why it offended me. Like, look, I'm Gen X. I'm hard to offend. But what I'm going to say is this. That offended me because a lot of people seem to think that they can distract themselves into being healed. And that's not how any of this works. I hear that Dan and Shay and whoever song, that's not how this works right now, in my head, because that's exactly what I'm saying. That's not how this works. You want to heal, you want to process, you want to get out of feeling like shit all the time, get your energy back, get your bandwidth back to do more things again, like you used to before this person, or when things started with this person, whatever the case may be. You want everything back that you had. Now, you're not going to get yourself. Okay. I'm going to fix that statement. You may get yourself back too, like the person that you were before that, but is that the person you want to be again? Do you want to be somebody different? Do you like these aspects of who you were before, but you want to change these things? You can do that because you're basically starting from ground fucking zero. I am working on changing certain things about myself. Like, I really like who I was before I met, when I was like 3 years into my marriage with my first husband. Like, I was a much different person. I didn't take shit from people like I do now. And I would call people out on it. And now I have a problem where I'm getting back to, I'm finally getting back to, however many months later, calling people out on their shit and boundaries. And like, a lot of it takes place at work. Which is crazy because it's my job. It pays my bills. Don't get me wrong. I do have another job that helps me pay my bills on top of my day job. I've got a part-time job and then I've got the books. So technically I have 3 jobs right now. And I don't know how long that's going to go on for. So it really fucking sucks. And I just wish my full-time job would pay me more so that I didn't have to have a second job. Like, I didn't absolutely necessarily need that second job, but I do. So whatever. I'm going to start doing a lot of things differently, and I'm going to be lacking a lot of sleep. So this is going to be fun and interesting because October is going to be a blast. So where was I going with this? You're starting from zero here. So you can change who you were. You can't change who you were, but you get what I'm saying? Like, if there's aspects of you that you want to be again, then make that happen. And then there's changes or tweaks you want to make that happen too, because now, baby, you're a blank canvas. You're an absolute blank canvas. Healing is going to be probably a lifelong thing, right? Because we're always going to be kind of looking over our shoulder in the sense of we're going to see things and we're going to think everything's a red flag, at least for a little while in our healing journey. And then once we're a little further down the road in our healing journey, we stop thinking everything's a red flag. But, we go down to, okay, well, there's just some things that we're just going to think is a red flag every single time, no matter how many times it comes up. And it's not a red flag at all. Like, when someone tries to relate to you by telling you a personal experience, a personal story, that is not fucking narcissism. Shut up about that. Y'all are pissing me off with it. It is relating to another human. It's part of the human experience. As humans, this is what we do. This is how we can say to you, I have been through something similar. I understand where you're coming from. I may not understand all of what you're feeling, but I understand to a point. And this is how I'm going to tell you, show you. Like, stop calling that narcissism and toxic and somebody trying to make the conversation about them, because that's not at all what it is. They're trying to make your dumb ass feel better. So shut the fuck up and listen. They're trying to get you to understand that you're not the only person who has been through this shit. Yes, this is a topic that really pisses me off because my narcissist used to tell me that I was trying to turn the conversation always into something about me when I was trying to relate to him on a fucking basic human bullshit level. It's not a bullshit level. It's just part of how I speak. But I was trying to relate to him on a basic human level. And every time he would call me out on it. Now, one of my teammates who's ravenous reader, and I go to her for a lot of different things like, hey, what do you think I should talk about on this week's episode? Or, what would you want to hear? So, well, at least when it comes to books, she hears a lot of these life topics anyway, because we talk about it. She's going through, her thing. And, even she understands, being a whole lot younger than me, that I'm trying to relate to her. Like, no, I didn't go through the same thing you did, but I think there are some similarities between what you're trying to heal from and what I'm trying to heal from, right? Because there are. Especially for me and her, it's really crazy. So we actually kind of both bonded over our mutual traumas, I guess. Yeah, what happened to her is pretty traumatic too. So yeah, that's kind of where it is. So the next time you're trying to say to somebody, hey, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I went through something similar. Shut your fucking mouth and listen. The next time somebody is trying to speak to you like this, shut your mouth and listen. Just stop, because they're trying to relate to you. They're not trying to hijack the conversation and make it about them. They're not. They're trying to explain to you that you're not alone without saying you're not alone. Because you know what happens when people say to you, you're not alone? You feel like they're just placating you, right? Because I do. And that's not the case. So when somebody wants to tell you their story, you need to be a decent, compassionate, empathetic human that you are, because guess what? That's why the narcissist chose you in the first place. But you need to be that person because someone else is sharing their story, their trauma, their hurt, their pain. You already know that when someone devalues, dismisses, takes you for granted when you're trying to do things like that, trying to help them, you already know how bad that feels. Don't do that to someone else. On that note, I'm going to call it an episode. Thank you so much for listening and hanging out with me this week. Remember, like, share, most importantly, hit that subscribe button. I don't particularly care where it's at, though. I mean, if I had my preference, it would more than likely be Spotify and or YouTube. If you would like to support this podcast, you can head over to Books, Life, and Shenanigans, and is spelled out, .substack.com. Or you can head over to coffee.com / I believe it's just Amanda Bird. And coffee is ko-fi.com / Amanda Bird. If you want to do a one-time donation, I wouldn't recommend doing like a monthly thing. If you're going to do monthly, head over to Substack. Get the extra bonuses there. The coffee thing is to just like, hey, you want to one time support the podcast, or, occasionally, because you can't do monthly. That's why I set up the coffee. Plus it allows me to set up different goals and stuff like that. So that's fun. Also, these links are in the description. I did say description, right? I did. Sorry. See, there goes my brain. This is almost what it did this morning, but this morning it was a whole lot worse. So again, thanks so much for hanging out with me this week.
This has been the Books, Life, and Shenanigans podcast with Amanda Bird. Song credit, audionautics.com. Intro action, AUDIONAUTIX.com. And if you'd like to support this podcast, head over to substack.com / @Books, Life, and Shenanigans.